Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back, of course, to the Time Bomb channel, and as always, many thanks for your time and your view. So the G-Shock outlet has kind of long been on my radar, and skimming through the other day, this one caught my eye. As for the price, I think that the watch offers a lot of utility, easy wearing, etc, etc, whereas for full price, I think I may have looked at some of their other models. And just for reference, the 900s are, of course, like the sort of upgraded version of its older sibling, the GBA 800s here. However, I never purchased from the outlet, as historically it was always a case of stock being released and sold within 5 minutes, and you kind of never knew when the stock was being released, so you always had to check, and then you've always missed out, blah blah blah. Long story short, it was a total mess. However, this year they've upgraded the website, and there's also a newsletter update on new stock releases, and you can also see from the prices here that, you know, it does make it worthwhile. I think, you know, it makes it worthwhile having a checkout every so often to see when that new stock hits, because there are some very decent reductions here. However, as this was my first purchase from the outlet, I also asked in the chat, you know, what's the deal here with these watches? Are they B stock, etc.? And as you can see, they've just simply told me that these are indeed packaging damaged watches. I think I'm okay with that. However, I've not seen inside the box yet, so I think we could be in for a surprise here. Let me just so let's crack the box open and have a look what's inside, see how damaged that packaging actually is. Yeah, as I say, the benefits of live unboxing. We could be in for a brilliant surprise, or we could be in for an horrific shock. It looks like maybe the box looks like somebody sat on it, or maybe it's perfectly acceptable. All right, so just to make sure that there are no, let's get rid of that because it might have some personal details on it. And here is our watch box. Sorry, let me see that that's in the way. It looks okay. I can't see too much on that. Maybe the damage is on the inside, and then usual blurb on the inside. You got your returns documentation there. As I say, I can't see anything on that. Anyway, yep, let's have a look inside. Necessary documentation that goes with it. Perhaps the surprise is in here. As I said, that paper cardboard aspect looks okay. Yeah, there's a bit of there's some dints. There you go. Okay, so you can see that boxing there is dinted. I mean, yeah, I mean that just looks to me like minor shop damage. Doesn't look anything else. And then the more important thing than the package, what's on the inside? How is our watch? Look at the colour on it. It's almost as leery as that lime green one that we had on a while ago, isn't it? To me, more importantly, the watch is as clean as a clean thing, isn't it, really? There's nothing on that marks. I will obviously get much more up close and personal after I've done the overview of the watch, and if I spot anything untoward, excuse me, I shall share that with you. Just going to pause the camera there while I draw in so we can get a bit more focused on this watch. All right, so just before I focused in, I wanted to look at this a little bit more to see if I can see any further damage, but you know what? I'm struggling to see anything on this tin that looks, I mean, you can see here you've got those little wrinkles in here, but I mean, I don't see that as an issue. And then the box itself, again, I'm really struggling to see anything on here that would be considered as you know, like, damage. I think they've been probably a little harsh on themselves here in saying that box is damaged. I mean, yeah, maybe it's not. Yeah, I mean, even on this one as well, I can't see. Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm going on about it so much is that, yeah, this is obviously sold as you know, damaged stock. You know, that they can't sell as new on the website or even in the shop. So I'm kind of curious as to see, because again, as you'll have seen on that reference before, this has come at, you know, half price as such. So why is it that way? Anyway, let's get closer on the watch. All right, so yeah, onto the watch itself. As I say, I can't see anything just off first glance here that suggests that this has been worn or anything else like that. Okay, it doesn't come with the plastics on the back, and it doesn't come with any plastics on the. Let me just check that as I'm saying this. No, there's no plastics front or back. So I'm guessing that they may have removed those. So that yeah, no unscrupulous sellers can sell this as new with tags to stop that secondhand market of these these ones. But again, sort of apart from that very bright color, this is I thought it was red, but it's kind of more of a pinky orange almost, isn't it? But I do like those very nice blacked out vents on the top and the bottom. They sort of give it a little bit more of a vertical symmetry that balances the watch out nicely. It looks pretty cool. So yeah, as always, key specs. These obviously then do come with the 200 meters worth of watery goodness, as you expect on all G-Shocks. You will also note that it's fairly ample. You're looking at 48.9 mils. So yeah, for most people that's 50 mils across. It's then quite an ample 16.6 mils in depth, fairly deep dish, and then it is 51 mils north to south. But as you can see there that those shoulders will push that out just a little bit, so it does sit quite wide on your wrist. But don't jump at those hip and waistline measurements, as it's not quite a whole lot of rosy, as this does only weigh in at 61 grams. So again, even in hand here, you can really feel very light indeed. And let's just put it next to a couple of other G-Shocks so that you can see that it's not that bad at all. We've then got it here next to the 5000U. So the 5000U is not necessarily that thin either, but obviously then, yeah, width-wise, here it is next to my old G-Shock, the Frogman. So yeah, probably not the best comparison because this is over 10 years old now, but it gives you a bit of an idea. And then obviously the newer ones are much bigger. And then the other G that I've got in at the moment, obviously, then is the monstrous, the GWG here. But I think it's quite manageable on wrist, and the weight-wise and everything like that, I think it makes it quite decent. Up top we do have then mineral glass, again as you'd expect from this range, and looking at it here, I absolutely love the little points of color that they've just added onto the tips of the hands there. I just think it's really nice. I think just a little bit of extra flash of color. You also then have some additional flashes of color around the edges there with the, I'm going to get in a little closer here if I can. There we go, much better. So yeah, so you've got the flashes of color on the G-Shock there. It is a salmony pink as opposed to a red. And then up top there as well, also really quite nice. On those mode markers, yeah, I think that's, of the dials, I think that's really nice. Really nice design. I do like that little flashing aspect there you've got around on the 10 o'clock sub dial. If I'm not mistaken, again, fresh out of the box, so apologies for this, I think this is your step counter and countdown marker just up the top there again. And if I'm not mistaken, by pressing the mode and the light button at the same time. No, I need to do that more. Yeah, pops your hands out of the way of the dial. Yeah, to get them out of the way. There we go, so we should be able to see that sub dial. No, it's recording something here. Okay. All right, they should move out of the way. All right, there we go. As we got, fantastic. The vagaries of live recording. All right, let's stop that. Get it back to where we want there. So live alarms. All right, so there we go. Not quite what I'd expected on that one. Let's just come back out again. I thought it just shifted them out of the way. So let's try that one last time. Yeah, it's supposed to move them out of the way. Okay, so it's moving them, but just seems to be spinning off and around. So it's moved them out of the way then to the 3:15. But yeah, it seems a little bit odd, and there it is, popping it back to its normal self again. All right, okay. Anyway, waffling, talking of waffling, there's some waffling on the dial also there, which I think adds to some quite nice eye candy, but you'll probably picked up here, just as even as I'm moving the watch around here, that negative display absolutely fails for me. It's, yeah, almost only from there can you actually pick up on the digits. So to me, this is supposed to be like a sports tracking, functioning, monitoring watch. Really, it's really bad. It's so small at the bottom there that I think, yeah, it almost becomes a bit redundant. You can see, you sort of scroll through here, you can get your calendar at the bottom, your stopwatches, you got your record, dual time, alarms, but man, it really isn't brilliant, is it? This is, you just scroll through here and all of these different functions that you might want to use. It's not brilliant at all. I'm going to do some more sort of some outside shots of this tomorrow, just to see if I can get it any better for you. But yeah, it's one of the worst negative displays on G-Shocks that I've seen so far. Again, absolutely live recording of this one. It's not giving me any chance to defend it or change my opinion of it. Really disappointing. Onto the case back, it's not the carbon core construction on this one. Instead, they're just using that stainless steel plate. You do then, of course, have the venting there, you know, those little shoulders that they've granulated a little bit as well. Again, so that's going to provide you sort of sweat and wind venting in here. So again, making that much more better, much more comfortable when you're using it as a sports watch. These things are then, of course, Bluetoothable, bearing in mind that might impact on your battery longevity because these are not solar. You've got all the step trackers and timers and alarms and calendars that you would need on a budget sports watch. And I think pretty much that's where most people put the GBA 900 range, into that affordable fitness watch category. I think that's fair, however. I think, though, that many people will say that at a full price for these things, there are other watches that offer better complications and trackings. Other aspects on the watch, the buttons are a very good size, but as you can see, they're completely smooth. And on the reverse, the only one that has any hatchings is our display aspect here. So these things, I think, when wet, will be a little slippery. Thanks to Bon Jovi for that one. I think they could have thrown some hatching on these ones also. I don't see why they didn't. The backlight up top here, again, it's not going to show very much at all, so I'm going to have to add some additional shots in here. I think it looks pretty much like this. You've then got lume just on your hands. It's a little bit basic, but I think it is entirely clear enough and fit for purpose in the dark. Again, for some reason, the hipsters of hubris over at Casio only offer these things with negative displays. I haven't seen any colorways that come with a positive display. I don't get that at all. I know it's cool to have that negative display, but you know, this is supposed to be a sports watch range. It's supposed to be functional. And I know that there are many detractors of that negative display here, and yeah, it's too small for me. And you've got nothing in that top section there. So yeah, medium. However, on wrist, let me just throw it on wrist while I'm going on. Still got the hang tag on, so let me get rid of that now. I'm going to make this much easier to do. So they just add that reference back in there in case you're wearing, considering this option. And yeah, to me, this is where I can forgive the watch for its vagaries. On wrist, it just absolutely looks hotter than a hot thing. Really nice design touches, I think, with these color-coded ventings. You can see how well the hands stand out on the dial, and how those just little pips of color on the end again make the watch so much more legible. But where they failed massively is on that negative display. Really unfortunate. For reference purposes, of course, my wrist is 7¼ inches, so I think this is almost an ideal size for my wrist. It just feels and looks brilliant. So, oh my God, why couldn't they just put a positive display on these on that section there? I know it wouldn't look as completely blacked out and what have you, but it would also make the watch much more functional. I don't know if you have got any orange speedos at home, but bung this wristwatch on with those speedos and you're going to be pushing them away on the beach. On a more serious note, I think the outlet purchase really works very well for me. As I say, I'm struggling to identify any damage on the watch or the packaging. So I think, you know, you can live with that, right? For the price that you're getting this watch at, I think it works perfectly in that sense. It's going to cause me, I think, to go back at a later stage and have a look at perhaps some higher end pieces with that additional discount. But over to you guys. What's your take on the range and the offering that they have here? Have you ever bought from the outlet? Please do drop us a comment down below. And what are your thoughts on that negative display? Look forward to hearing your comments as always. And of course, until the next vid, this is your host to be signing off. Cheers, guys.